I don't know.
I'll start with roll.
Okay.
Mike Cruz is here. Claire Edelman Heath.
Present.
Anthony Garcia. Present. Claire Johnson.
Present.
McCord.
Present.
Matt McGrath. Present. And Chris Carroll.
Here, we're all here.
Thank you. Standing agenda item, reminder to check Flagstaff 365 for upcoming events. There's a lot going on this summer. FYI, and then public participation. We do have a public participation comment.
Yes, we do. Let's see, I'm gonna need a.
And just a heads up for the commission, the comment is not for us to, respond to because it's not on the agenda. So think about the comment, and if you want to have it on the agenda, then we can certainly add it at the end and discuss it next week and, next month in July.
If you will, move the minutes, then let's come back to it.
So we're gonna move forward to approval of the minutes. Did everybody have an opportunity to look at the May minutes? And is there any comment or suggestion for edit? And if not, may I entertain a motion to approve them as submitted? Thank you, Matt. Been moved and seconded to approve the May minutes for the BPAC meeting as submitted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye. Sorry. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? The motion carries and the minutes are approved. Thank you. Do you still need more time?
Yeah, I do. So I'm gonna go ahead and start staff announcements while it's signing me in.
Okay.
So first of all, I would like to introduce our collections, beautification, and public art project administrator, Corey Whitall. Corey comes with a lot of collections management experience. She worked 10 years for a fine arts museum in San Diego, and also was up in managing collections in Juneau, Alaska for 1 year. I'm gonna let Corey just say a little bit more about herself, and then I'm gonna have each of you briefly introduce yourselves to her.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so like Janice said, I worked at the San Diego Museum of Art for 10 years in the curatorial department. I worked mostly with photography and East Asian art. And then after the pandemic, I went to Juneau in Alaska to work, be collections manager and exhibitions curator there. And I focused on their historic photography collection and did a lot of work rehousing and cataloging that. Turned out that Alaska was not a good fit for me, so I went back to San Diego. And when this job opened up here in Flagstaff, I thought it seemed like a much better fit for me. So I'm really happy to be here. I moved on Wednesday, so I'm still very new. But yeah, I look forward to creating a database of all the public works in the city of Flagstaff's collection and all the other fun things that come up in this job.
Welcome to Flagstaff.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, you'll get San Diego weather in the summer and Juneau weather in the winter.
Let's go around the table.
Sure. So I'm at Cruz. I'm in the interview. I am starting my 6th year on BPAC, and I'm finishing my 2nd year as chair. Moved here in 2018. And I am a native Texan, Mexican-American, Spanish speaker, gay, full of pride. And I think that's it. Welcome. Good to see you in person.
Thank you.
Hey, Corey, my name is Matt McGrath. Skipping ahead to the next bullet, the next item, I'm very happy to have just been appointed to my 2nd term by City Council on BPAC. I've lived here in town since 2019, less of an artist, but married to an artist, and generally supportive. So I'm really happy to have you here.
My name is Carla McCord. I'm the vice chair, and I have been on many one-year appointments to BPAC, but I was just recently reappointed for my first 3-year term, which is fantastic because I don't have to make an application next year. And yeah, I have an arts background and also about 25 years of marketing and just general design background. I used to own a design studio, but now I do a lot of development for construction. So business development and that kind of thing. So I tend to be pretty heavy on the RFP focused side. I like that and I like the arts.
Hi, my name is Anthony Garcia. I've been on the BPAC for a few years now. One of the longest standing members left. Today is my last meeting, so I'll give you a hello and a goodbye all at once. But my arts background really just came from like the culture in which we were raised in. I'm from Flagstaff. And here there's really no like set pace for an artist, so to speak. Like everyone here is just colorful people, and occasionally we get called artists. So we're just living our lives. But that tied deep directly into me being a BPAC member, just being so culturally adept and wanting to hold on to some of that historical, cultural, the affect, the it factor, so to speak, that you might see that Flagstaff has. And that's carried us on to here. When I started, we had a half a member working from staff, and now we have 3+. So we're really moving in the right direction. And I think that you came in at a time where you could definitely get some work done a little easier. The groundwork has been set from Jana, Eliza, and those that came before you. And with Kristen here now, and the way that the BPAC is formulated, I think that you're in a cool spot.
Wonderful.
Welcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, hi, I'm Dave McIntyre. We met just a little bit ago. It's great to see you. We're super excited to have you here. And yeah, Community Investment Director. We'll spend a lot of time together.
And I'm Councilmember Miranda Sweet. Very nice to meet you. I have a business downtown. I love the arts. This is a great commission for me to be on. So if you need anything, let me know.
Kristen Corhito, Project Administrator. We'll be working closely together. I've been with the program 1.5 years and have many years of nonprofit arts experience.
Thanks, Echo. From now, I am the recording secretary. I go way back with Anthony. I started in 2015 with the city. And when my replacement is hired, then secretary. I will still be in the community investment office, so we'll be working together anyways. But good to have you.
Claire Johnson.
Hi, I'm Claire Johnson, and I am a lifelong local here in Flagstaff, and have just always been part of the art community here. I really care deeply about Flagstaff and about the arts, so I really love being part of this commission. And I'm a nurse and a student, so I have like very little free time, so I'm usually remote in the meetings, but I always love being a part of them and being part of that discussion. So nice to meet you. Welcome to Flagstaff.
Yeah. And then the other Claire.
Well, welcome. I'm so excited to work with you. I'm Claire Edelman Heath. I am a landscape architect here in Flagstaff for a private firm. My focus has been on sustainability, and I've had an opportunity to work with quite a few artists in public landscapes. So that's something I try to bring, including the Southside Grove project. So occasionally I may have to recuse myself, but happy to be here. And this is just finishing my first year. Woohoo! So I'll pass it to Chris.
I'm Chris. I've been on the commission for a couple of years now. As Craig said, I'm the executive director of the local theater. Most of my art background is in performing arts, but I've done a lot of other art as well. I tend to pay attention to the economics of art, which makes me a little bit of an anomaly in the arts community, but I think is part of what makes arts successful is when that gets paid attention to.
Thank you, folks. So we do need to defer the public participation. We will share that at the next meeting. And then moving forward to the commissioner appointments.
Yes, so, city council and their infinite wisdom to reappoint Vice Chair McCord and Commissioner McGrath to 3-year terms. We also have a new commissioner. Can't replace Commissioner Garcia, of course, but is going to join us as soon as he finishes his new commissioner training. His name is Michael Rougon. He teaches French at the Northern Arizona University. And he is actually in France right now with a study abroad group. He said he might sign on and say hello, but it is midnight there. And I told him it was not absolutely necessary that he do so. But Michael has a background in theater as well. He has acted at theatricals. So
I'm directing.
yes, and is now just directed Heisenberg for the Stargazer theater. So I'll let him tell more about themselves at next July meeting.
And befitting of the appointment, I suggested that he fill out the application.
Oh, excellent. And did. So here we are. Okay. So I also, the next item, as you know, the budget year, starts in October with our retreat. In order for us to be ready for the retreat in October, any new ideas for FY26 need to at least have one BPAC meeting to vet them for the October retreat. So therefore, if you have an idea that you would like vetted by the commission, please submit to me by July 31st. And we will get it on the August or September BPAC meeting. And then we might have to modify announcement number 4. I'm probably going to be leading the July BPAC meeting from Telluride, Colorado. So it seems like there's a lot of vacations that are coinciding for the next meeting, but I will be here. I just have to conduct it virtually. Of course, I don't really conduct it. Chair Cruz does, so I will have a presentation. So it would be good if I had it done. And then I want to remind you that we have 2 city holidays. We have Juneteenth, so that is a city holiday. And that's June 19th, 2024. So Corey, you get a day off next week. How about that?
Good time.
Paid holiday. And then Indigenous Peoples Day. Now, I believe that is always going to be the second Monday of the month. Therefore, we are going to have a standing conflict with the October meeting. So I want us to think about what our alternate date is going to be for October. I'm going to have a suggestion next month that perhaps like last year, we combine a BPAC date with our annual retreat. We did that in December. I am going to move the retreat back to October. I have October 25th in mind, and maybe we'll make that kind of how we handle this new holiday, that we always combine it with the retreat, and we always have the retreat in October. Therefore, we meet our obligation under statute to meet once a month, because that still has to happen. So I will probably bring that up for a formal vote. If you have other ideas, please contribute them to me before I write the agenda for the July meeting.
October 25th is a Friday, just FYI.
And then it must be the 24th.
That's a Thursday? That's what you wanted on?
No, a Friday. No.
October 25 is a Friday.
Yeah, it's a Friday.
Yeah, just letting folks know.
Oh, okay. I thought I was off the day, sorry.
No,
Okay.
you're good.
All right. And then,
So we have Jillian Sander, she received contingent approval last month for her Beautification Action Grant project. She is going to present this evening, but we have to be a little bit flexible with her schedule. She teaches at Sedona Arts Center and she is driving up as we speak. So I told her approximately 5 p.m. That would give her plenty of time to drive safely back up the hill. So when she arrives, which should be closer to 5 p.m., then we will have her present her revised artwork for her BIA project.
And there's one other order change if possible. Since the city clerk is already here, when we're ready, I would ask that we take H1 before G1. I had no other announcements. Nobody else sent me any other announcements.
That's correct. So we can move on to H1, correct?
Yes. This is on Commissioner Advocacy. Stacy Solberg. Get to sit in the presenter's chair.
Oh, I get an official, like.
Yes, you do. So, Ms. Salzberg will present the limitations of advocacy for commissioners as representatives of the city on election issues, including the BBB tax.
Thank you. So as Janice said, I'm the city clerk. My name is Steve Salzberg. I also serve as the Director of Communication and Civic Engagement. This actually won't take very long. I think what is important to remember as commissioners is that within that role, you are representing not only the commission, the BPAC commission, but you're also representing the city. And there are some very clear statutes within state law that indicate that the city is not permitted or allowed to expend its resources to influence the outcome of an election. And that can mean any election, whether it is a city election, a federal election, it's any election in general. Now, that said, as private citizens, you do not lose your right to advocate, to promote a particular candidate or issue. What is important to remember is that you cannot do that within the capacity as a commissioner of the Beautification and Public Art Commission. So what that means is if you want to support, let's say, a candidate, you cannot represent yourself as, hi, I'm Sally. I am a member of the Beautification and Public Art Commission, and this candidate is the best candidate because they support art, right? That would not be appropriate. What is more appropriate is, I'm Sally. I am a private citizen, and I support Johnny as a candidate because X, Y, and Z. He supports art. He supports, inclusivity or whatever it is that you feel that platform that they represent is important to you. That also is the same for ballot measures that may come forward. So Jana mentioned the BBB tax. That is something that I know is incredibly important to this particular commission and to the work that you do. But unfortunately, the commission as a whole can't come out and support or advocate against it as a commission, right? Because again, you're representing the city, you represent a resource that the city embodies, and that cannot be used as a way to influence an outcome of an election. So what I'm here to remind you of and to really emphasize is what you do as a private citizen, as a private individual, outside of your role as a commissioner is 100% appropriate. You just have to make sure that you are not sharing, I learned at the Beautification and Public Art Commission last week that these 5 projects are not going to be approved if the BBB tax is not approved by the voters. That is information that you're privy to, generally speaking, as a commission member, rather than it being widely shared across, all being equally available to anybody or any other citizen within the community. So you really just need to be careful to represent yourself individually. Now, sometimes people will approach you and say, hey, I know you're on the BPAC commission. What does this mean? What would it mean if the BBB did not pass? you would have to say, you know, yes, I am a commissioner. I am not speaking on behalf of the commission. I can share with you my personal views as myself and as an individual. But this is not a reflection on the commission as a whole. So you can make that distinction if somebody were to say, you know, I know you're a part of this commission and what does that mean? And how can, you know, how should I vote? And how would this, impact the work of your group or the city?
They say, is any education allowed? You're allowed to, you know, just education about the basics of what BBB covers.
Sure. So the city will be putting out some educational materials. We've been working on those. You are free to share those materials far and wide. We will have a publicity pamphlet that comes out a little closer to the election. You could certainly say, hey, I really encourage you to take a look at the information that's contained within, you know, this educational material, what's contained within the publicity pamphlet. The key is to educate, not to advocate. That is a very fine line, and it is one that we all struggle with. I live and breathe elections. And I struggle, right, to make sure that I stay in that lane. And typically, the best way to do that is to make sure that you just represent yourself as an individual. It's the best way for you to stay out of that weird place of, well, are you advocating because you're sharing this educational material with us? Again, it's okay to acknowledge that you're part of this commission, but following that up with, but I am representing myself individually. These are my opinions. These are my thoughts. They do not reflect the voice or the position of the commission. And frankly, the commission as a whole is unable to take a unified or a majority vote to support or advocate against any ballot measure against city or not. I hope that helps a little bit, again, kind of clear as mud. But again, my advice to you is just really focus on that individual perspective rather than the perspective of the commission. And I am available if you ever get into a situation where you've got some questions or you need some clarification. You can reach out to me directly. You certainly can go through Jana, who can track us down and ask those questions. We're here to assist and help you in that way. And I don't want to ever put forward a message of we don't want you involved in advocating or for or against anything. You are free to do that in your individual capacity. And again, as somebody who lives and breathes elections, I highly encourage that participation and that passion. Just don't do so on behalf of the city or the commission.
Questions or comments, folks? I have a question. So one of the things that I shared, so the multicultural sculpture exhibit got some press, and I shared that to my LinkedIn and Facebook profile and said, this is a great exhibit. You guys should go see it. It's supported by the BBB tax.
Totally okay. Totally fine. As long as you didn't add the sentence, that is why we must support the approval of the renewal of the BBB tax.
That's the fact that you're educating and it's paid for by.
Yeah. Or, you know, after today's meeting, you know, we had a great BPAC meeting. We talked about this particular art installation. Again, go check it out. It is something that is supported by the BBB. We're grateful for the city's support of this installation, and that is totally appropriate. Good question.
What about if somebody else is wanting to share something and they're not sure if it's gonna fly? Can they send it to you first for your approval?
So I won't necessarily give you approval, but I will provide a little bit of guidance. For saying I'm not an attorney. I can't give you legal advice, but I can share best practices, things that we probably tell our employees, but anybody that we come in contact with And even as we're developing our educational materials, you know, we're having those same conversations about what is getting close to that line and what's not. So I'm happy to look at stuff. I'm happy to give you some suggestions or what I might recommend, but certainly not the be all and end all.
Are there consequences as individuals if one does slip across the line? You mentioned legal advice. So how legally with volunteers?
So
Not to scare everybody, but I figured we're talking legal advice.
I would say, again, I'm not an attorney, so I'm gonna very much preface that. Where the risk lies is to the city. So if we find that a commission as a whole or a commissioner is representing themselves as somebody who is advocating or, you know, for or against any particular item and we get notification of that, we would have a conversation. Legally speaking, somebody could make a claim against the city saying that you're using resources to influence an election. That is illegal. And therefore we will file a suit or a complaint or whatever that might be, but that typically would come from a private individual, somebody that feels aggrieved by that action. But if we become aware of it as staff, there, you know, you're not gonna be slapped with a fine. We'll have a conversation. If we find that that is excessive, there could be the potential that you then are recommended for removal from this commission by the city council. Again, they would ultimately make that decision. But that's a long stretch to get to that point. As a staff, we're here to educate you as well. We're all people, we're not perfect. But yeah, there could be legal ramifications for the city as a whole. Generally speaking, those don't come to you as an individual.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the time. If you don't mind, I'm gonna stay for just a little bit.
You're welcome.
I think we move forward now to the traffic signal evidence.
I'm here to present the recommended art proposal and alternate art proposal for the traffic signal cabinets located at South Lake Mary Road and West High Country Trail. This particular intersection is home to two of these traffic signal cabinets, which are located on the southeast corner. And this location is a highly trafficked area for both vehicular traffic and also pedestrian traffic. It is close to numerous neighborhoods, including University Heights, Lake Mary Pines, Ponderosa Trails, Aspen Trails, Bennett Estates, and of course, it is the main road out to Lake Mary. There are two traffic signal cabinets at this location. The larger traffic cabinet, which you see here with an attached side cabinet, and then the smaller traffic signal cabinet next to it. This is the criteria that the selection panel utilized to evaluate and score the proposal submissions. 50 points for originality and the visual or aesthetic quality of the proposal, which essentially just means, is the art good? Does it respond to you? Is it professional in design? And then another 50 points for how well the artwork contributes to the cultural atmosphere. So will it be engaging to passersby, whether they are waiting at the corner for the bus, whether they pass by it on the bus, in their car, on foot, or riding their bikes. The selection panel was comprised of 5 community members. From BPAC, we had Commissioner McGrath. Thank you so much. From the city of Flagstaff, we had Jenna Ortega. And then our community members included Corey Gonzalez and Sherry Lenigan. They are both nearby residents, and they are also teachers at Mountain Charter School. And then, of course, our project initiator for the traffic signal cabinet art wraps, Galen Sober. This is the proposed selection. It is by Jessica J.R. McKenzie, and it received a cumulative score of 464 points. Jessica is an emerging artist. She teaches interior design at NAU, and she frequents Lake Mary. And so she wanted this particular proposal to highlight the wildlife that visitors to Lake Mary see. And so on these 2 traffic signal cabinet boxes, you will see wildlife. The main cabinet, the front here is a majestic elk, which you can also see in these neighborhoods. I reside in Aspen Trails, and whenever I'm going to and from work, often I am met with either a singular or a large group of elk. I've never hit any, thank goodness, but it's been close. So here is a majestic elk on the front of the cabinet. On the right side, we see a blue heron and a striped necked turtle, which visitors to Lake Mary will see. On the left side, we have a northern flicker, which is a common woodpecker. And then here we see the back of the cabinet. You'll see aspen trees. This particular corner is enveloped with aspen trees. And so the artist wanted to include those in her design. And then these radiating diagonal lines are the artist's interpretation of the Arizona flag. And this is the artwork that one will see on the small cabinet. So this includes rainbow trout and pike. And here you see this larger fish, which kind of wraps itself around the cabinet. And if you're coming from Lake Mary and you're headed back into Flagstaff, this is the view that you will see as you head north. And again, the artist wanted to celebrate the wildlife of Lake Mary, but she also thought it was important to include wildlife because this particular traffic signal cabinet resides right across the street from Arizona Game and Fish. This is the alternate selection. This artwork is entitled The Spirit of Lake Mary by local artist Joel Geist. And this particular artwork, the connection to family and the parent-child connection is not reflected initially upon your first viewing. So Joel's father resides near Lake Mary in Florida, and Joel has been visiting him frequently because his health is in decline. So he was drawn to this particular location because it's something that can be shared between a father and a son, even though they are separated by thousands of miles. Lake Mary is something that is special to both of them. And this parent-child connection is reflected in the artwork itself. So the larger blue heron are the parents, and they are located on the larger cabinet. And then we see the smaller blue heron or the offspring on the smaller cabinet. This is the artist's mock-up. And here is an alternate view of the front of the cabinets and the back of the cabinets. Here's our estimated schedule. Bear with me momentarily, because as I was putting this together, I wanted to convey the schedule for all 3 traffic signal cabinet locations we had a selection panel for this first one that was done in May. We have another selection panel for the second location on Thursday, and then the final selection panel next week. So, of course, this one can go ahead once BPAC approves the artwork, but the dates in red will reflect the schedule for all three cabinets, more or less. So we're looking at a project commencement date for the other two cabinets by August 1st, and of course, a project completion date by October 1st. So we had to alter these dates. There was a lot, there were a lot of things going on in May, and so we pushed the remaining selection panels back just a bit. Any questions on the artwork that I presented?
Commissioner McGrath, you were part of the selection panel. Do you have anything to add?
I'll add, the panel had really great discussion before we got to the art, and it was clear, I think amongst everybody on the panel, that everyone looked at this as the gateway to Lake Mary. It wasn't the gateway to like Ponderosa Trails or anything like that. And everybody thought that the theme should be something connected to Lake Mary. And you see the top two, both very close there. There was really other great proposals in terms of the artwork, but they didn't have a really great connection to that particular space. And so hopefully, I think the panel's hoping that the folks could get that feedback that these might be great submissions for other locations. An example was one, it was a bunch of dogs, and who doesn't love a bunch of dogs, but it felt like it'd be better along the foots, like a more pedestrian location rather than like a 5-lane intersection where folks are jamming down the lake. I will say I gave Joel 5 points more than JR. Simply because of my bias against every mountain town having an elk as a big symbol. I mean, that came out in our conversation about the sculpture across the street. Like there's more to hear than elk, but I thought the rest of the wildlife and the fish, especially around the panel, it's a fine choice. But I think those were definitely the top two among the panel. Then there were other good great artwork, but just didn't really fit this location. So I would say full support for me. That's not a motion, and I want folks to be able to discuss, but totally comfortable with JR's design, and it would be a great addition to that location.
Do you guys have any conversations about the California poppies?
No, not really, no. Well, we had a little, we got like around things like that, got into detail of like, wait, what kind of fish is that? Can we find out? And, we're not allowed to like say, hey, change it to something more native. I mean, that also goes for the elk of, they're not actually entirely native. We killed all the native elk and then we tried to replace them with something else. And then I will say also, the thing I loved about JR's design was like, I thought that the inclusion of like the flag, but it was more like the sun rays. It was really a subtly like outstanding addition to that I really did like about it. And so it's just acknowledging my bias against the elk is why I doctored 5 points over. But both great, yeah.
Thank you.
Other discussion, folks, or can we get a motion to move forward?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the J.R. McKenzie as the finalist and the Joel Geist as the alternate on these traffic signal cabinets. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Thank you. The motion carries and the designs are approved.
I don't think our next one is here. Okay.
So you're doing the work plan now?
Yes,
Okay.
because the presenter isn't here yet. It's not yet 5 o'clock. And Stacy's already gone, so I think doing next, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, starting with our retreat last year, all of commissioner input went into the prioritization and of the projects that we had on the books. There was some upper management also requests and preferences that are in here. But this is what we are planning on working on, starting July 1st. Some of them were already going, but our work plan. So I sent this out to you in kind of the Word document form. And so I just did a nice cut and paste so that we could go over it. So hopefully that you reviewed it and we have, you might have questions about particular things. And I won't go into a great amount of detail on each one because some of them you're very, very familiar with. We've been talking about them a lot. I think obviously what I really want to, draw attention to here is that we have said full capacity is 15 to 18 projects, wanting 15 on the work plan and 3 spots open for those things that always pop up during the year. Well, you can see that we have 22 up there. So even though we have Corey on board with us, and believe me, all these assignments are kind of penciled. Some are a little darker than others, but it really is a staff discussion who gets assigned what. But I can tell you 2021 and 22 will not start until other things finish up. That's how we're gonna handle this. We have 3 that are gonna finish, we think, in November. So that's really great. Aspen Niche, Levin's under contract. We're working on a capital project manager to help us manage the construction. That should start in July. So that one I'm very confident of. Downtown Green, we also have a painter under contract who will be painting all those assets, all those light poles. They're municipal green. So I think we'll have that one going this summer and probably well by November. And then we have that little phone booth. I have asked a JOC a firm to have that just go ahead and go forward. It was a little pricier than we wanted. I'll just be honest. We just made an executive decision inside, management that, it's better to get it done and off the books. And we're going to go forward with the bid that we had. And so
That's the British one, right?
yeah, the
that was
little British phone booth over at the visitor center.
Right.
It was more the concrete pad and other little amenities, seating amenities that ended up raising the price. But we're gonna go forward, we're gonna do it, and I have already given the firm the go-ahead. And so I have asked procurement to circulate that contract. And so I'm hoping that within a month, it will be going as well. Then we have other projects that I expect to finish up in FY25. And those are kind of the 3 that will matter when I start 2021 and 22 down here. And that's the Cleo Murdoch Park, which I'm going to be showing you. That's being scored right now by our selection panelists. We'll have an approval of an art concept on board in July. And then the new procurement for the surveying, the arts and sciences, nonprofits, and new procurement. Right now it's created Flagstaff, but we have to competitively bid it. We have been avidly working on what might go into the scope with the former program manager, now consultant Eliza Krutzman. But we expect to have that bid, and it has to be finished because that contract expires, and we'll have a competitive bid, and that will be coming for your approval and then going to City Council for approval. So we're pretty good about that one. I just met with the artist team on the Downtown Connection Center, Laura Haddad and Tom Drugan. Good progress is being made. We've been wrestling with the permit for the sculpture. But all the questions were answered by the structural engineer, and the bolts are going to be delivered to Loving Contracting this Friday. So the artist actually will be in town. If there's a chance, I will invite you guys for a happy hour with them. It's tentative. I'm not sure what their schedule is. We're working on it, but that will be installed by April. So that will definitely be finished as well. So that's how we're looking at it. So but then also lurking, projects that are indefinite or ill-defined versus in this fiscal year, but we need attention. You know, when we go to flag, you know, says it needs attention, then it gets attention. We have McAllister Ranch interpretive signage. It's kind of looming out there. Downtown Mile, this Buffalo tank, water tank, just the base painting for this year, but I'm not exactly sure if they need us, when they need us, but it's kind of lurking out there. And then as always, those upper management council requests.
And I have a question, why would we be involved at all with the Buffalo Park water tank mural? All they're doing is a base coat paint, so why would we have any role in it?
We're right, I don't think we're gonna be involved
Okay.
this year.
Okay.
They may have a question for me about, you know, what we're gonna do with the mural as part of it when it comes time to painting it. So it's just a possibility, or we might be they might be painting it, and we might be making that vinyl wraparound to protect it until we're ready for the mural. So that was I think that was what was lurking in my mind when I put that in this section.
Okay.
And then we have those things that we might be doing just a little planning on that we know that are high priorities, city lawn, start planning for it, start meeting with the other departments, start getting a schedule, start getting it in everybody else's fiscal year projects, not just us. You know, also that 4th Street and Lockett community mosaic, I kind of see it tied in, you know, with the roundabout itself. We're still talking about what is that Sunnyside, you know, streetscape project. We know how high priority it is. Gonna be doing a little planning on those green schoolyard grants, and we might be working on relocating that airport and sculpture. So those things are probably FY26.
Another question about about 31, where were we with that? You guys were gonna locate the artist and he was in Florida and we were gonna ask permission, like where did all that end up?
Right, the artist has not been contacted.
Oh,
But we've had discussions with the airport. Do they definitely want it moved? Or if we painted it blue, got permission to paint it blue, would it be okay if it stayed where it was? We have had some initial indications. Of course, the donation of the elk was talked about in lieu and replacement. The artist isn't totally on board with that. It's moving, but it's not landed.
okay.
So just, you know, quickly, the things that reoccur, they have all the purple. You know, we do the beautification and action grants. You know them well. You dedicate 4 commission meetings to them each and every year. So October, you get the first review to get the questions. November, the grantees make their presentations, you vote on them, and then we do it again in the spring. Try to Flagstaff, a couple of different things, a lot of time, staff time goes towards this. We serve on the grants committees, and then we also liaison on the Art X festival as well. And, you know, those flowers and enhanced landscaping and holiday directions, not all the flowers are in yet. The hanging baskets should be going up Friday or early next week. But and the wine barrels haven't been switched out yet. There was a delay in the variegated grasses this year. They didn't come in, and so we're not taking, it's all one motion to take the spruce trees out and put the grasses in. We don't have, you know, the wherewithal to do the double labor by Fox Club. But it is in process. That part's been a little bit delayed. Hanging baskets going in about the same time, but there's a lot of flowers coming in, and the planters. It's now a yearly project. You know, the first one, we had the multicultural county park sculpture exhibition, and that will be year 2 and year 3 are funded. So we're going to go ahead and assume from the turnout and the response that we've got to this first one that this is going to be a yearly project, and I'll probably start asking for funding for it in the out years at our BPAC retreats. Corey is going to pay special attention to this. You know, we have the photography, we have the public art map update, kind of part of collections management. We have already completed some professional photography. You know, we didn't have any professional photography of any of our projects. So it was from scratch. And so you can see the ones that we've already done. We have a couple listed already. As part of that, we'll try to get the map updated. It's thoroughly out of date and get on the public art archive kind of simultaneously. So that's a big project for this year. Traffic signal cabinets. We're still working on that APS permission for the other ones that you approved. I don't know if it will get done, more will get, a second round will get done in this fiscal year, or if those are the ones that will go next year. They've had a staffing issue, so we're still waiting on that permission. So those that are ongoing have started, already covered the Aspen niche, Cleo Murdoch Park. And then again, we have the collections management software public archive launch. We also have finishing up this work by Eliza Kretzman. And then we have those 2 donation sculptures. So they're all kind of, you know, all important projects. I have the Galazan donation. I will be meeting with Parks and finding a location to bring back to everybody for final approval. Also, because we'll have to pick a location, we'll have to see, kind of blue stake it, see if there's any utility issues for a foundation, all of that. So I'm not exactly sure when it's coming back. We do not have a place for the elk yet. That's going to be a whole process. And then as I said, this is all being worked on. Fabrication is just starting. You know, as far as the actual, you know, the glass and the sculpture being fabricated, that work is just starting at Bagnell. I'll luckily, that will be fairly easy because they are located in Phoenix for me to meet with the artist and see the process on that going. The other ones in Germany, I don't think I can hop over and see that as easy, the progress, but next April.
Is the whole DCC supposed to be done April 25th?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, I think these will actually be in, I'm saying April because that's the day they have to have their doors open.
I had the opportunity to stand on the second floor today.
Oh, really?
And it was, the views are just incredible.
Wow.
From that.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get a tour this Friday.
Probably will not be taking anybody else up to the second floor as it involved a ladder, a very long one.
All right, okay. Yeah, well, I already covered downtown green. You know that under Kristen's guidance, the Flagstaff monument sign at the airport was completely refurbished, new wood, sign was cleaned off, and now we're gonna move on to the one at 89A, the entrance over by the monument. Well, the wood is just deteriorating all over the place. We'll try to get some maintenance in, so maybe we can save the other ones, but these are already so deteriorated that we're gonna have to completely refurbish them. So that will be the next one. And our little British library.
Jen, can I ask a question about the wood real quick?
I might not be able to answer it.
Just maybe for future research or just a thought process. Have we ever looked at not like faux wood, like concrete representation of wood?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
Train rail.
Well, no, I'm thinking something that still looks like that, but just this architecture sort of representation of wood might be more conducive to long-term signage. Sounds like a good alternative. Yeah.
Can I just add that we're currently doing that with some of our large Forest Service entry signs, and it hurt my heart at first to be giving up on the wood, but then I saw just how much the price difference is, and I got over it. I mean, it's and the duration of how long they last, right? And basically from a distance, you can't tell a difference.
You can't.
So it probably is something worth considering.
Your program manager needs an update from capital projects on this Lone Tree. It's very long-term. I know they had some issues with property acquisition that slowed things down. I don't know what their exact schedule is right at this moment. And I don't know that they truly know either, which is probably why it hasn't been communicated very recently. But I will jump back in. I know that all the details for the artist contract to oversee is in place. So they're ready to go whenever the project is ready to go. I understand from the website that that they're still anticipating completion in late 2027, but I'm not putting a lot of stock on that right at this moment till I dive back into this project. But honestly, I've been a little happy that one project was asleep for a while. All right, so plaques and shields, we have kind of 3 of these projects, so there's very small individually, but they kind of add up to a whole project. There's one that is needed for the Dunbar School at the Murdoch Center that will involve Dr. Guthrie. And then again, I think we've talked about it before, the cherished city colleague spearheaded the Lone Tree project. There's a plaque to do for him. We chose Marie Jones to work on that as well. And then Route 66, which is going to have that centennial in 2026. All those foot fences need those little shields like we put in at Fanning with the reflective Route 66 shield. And we're just going to be populating the rest of the foot fences with those same shields. And it's, again, kind of small in and of itself, but it's something that will happen this year. And then our very new project, this was one that, as you know, came out of left field after our retreat, Spruce Wash Wedge, but it has to go. I mean, because we are tied to a construction project. So we will choose the artist this year and they will design it. And then construction of whatever they create will be in FY26. And then the roundabouts. We're gonna, I think, whenever we get the bandwidth, because this is number 21, 20, 21, and 22, we will put these out together. Well, Switzer Canyon and 4th Street. Switzer's already had some work done on it. 4th Street has not. And then a little bit more of the beautification along Route 66 at Verde and Ponderosa, but it will wait, or we will hire a capital project manager privately to run that project. It's just a little beautification. Again, the centennial's coming up. It would be nice if it was in and planted a year ahead of time. I'm gonna try to do that.
Can I ask a question about the roundabouts? How come or has it come up? I just don't remember. So if you're going to like the Cedar Safeway and you go not from 4th Street, but the other direction, like Arrowhead or something, and there's that roundabout there. Do you guys know what I'm talking about in front of the, so how come we haven't ever talked about that roundabout?
I don't know.
What intersection is that?
Which one?
It's like, you go left on Arrowhead, is it Arrowhead and West?
Western Arrow.
Yeah, I think we talked about that, Mike, like way back in the day, if you remember better. And what the conclusion was the way that the roundabout was designed, and you can even tell by how like level the round is. It's just that people kind of use that as a way to go over it. That we didn't want to kind of ruin, if we put a mosaic there, because that was I think what we decided we wanted to do.
Yeah.
It would just kind of be tire tracks after a while. Just because of the overall design, but that's a really good point that you bring up. If there's a way that capital projects could redesign it, I guess it would be a cool place to
Or
have.
put a pedestal.
Right.
It's a small roundabout, but I use it all the time. And the other day I was thinking, why have we never talked about this roundabout?
It's in Sunnyside. Interesting. Another project.
Another project.
Merge it into those projects.
Yes.
Just
Oh, little neighborhood roundabouts, obviously the footprint of the center is a lot different, but I know Tempe actually has really quite a collection of those sorts of little neighborhood roundabout arts in the center. Okay, any discussion or further comments? Man, gonna be hearing about these projects all year long.
Thank you in advance, Corey.
Yeah.
Excited, ready to go.
Janet, thank you for being so organized and getting that stuff together. It's really phenomenal to see the stuff that we talk about in one session, moving into our real work.
Right. So I'd like to introduce Jillian Sand.
Hi, everyone.
And Jillian, to be here, you're going to present.
Okay,
Head
the
of the table.
presenter. Okay.
Great. And she is here to discuss and present revised artwork for her BIA project.
Done this on Google Docs. I'm hoping this is working.
I think we could probably hit a play button somewhere on that screen. If not, that's fine too. Hi, everyone. I'm Jillian. Happy to be here. Like I said, Kristen was nice enough to present for me last time. So again, I'm really happy to be here in person. I'm going to be creating that vinyl box wrap at Fort Valley and Me, kind of centering around the community of Flagstaff and incorporating that into a kid-friendly children's illustration style design. Particularly having to do with the biology that we find in our community here. So highlighting local mushroom species, and again, making that super approachable through fun color and smiling faces. So we can go to the next slide. Oh, that works. So again, there's the location from above. It's right between Fratelli and in a neighborhood. Thank you. In a neighborhood and right along a bike path. So it gets a lot of foot traffic as well as families passing through. There's a little mock-up of it, what it might look like at that spot. Like I said, kind of dealing with the foraging and mycology community here, which is small but prevalent, and just kind of giving people insight to the things that are around them that might be just a little bit smaller, because the little things are important too. So the original design had sort of that middle image, and then on the side panels we had mushroom identification charts so that people could kind of look at the main image and then sort of trail around the sides and see some more information on those species that were being highlighted. I definitely heard the concerns about people maybe taking that information the wrong way and going out into the forest and consuming mushrooms based off of my diagram, which I don't want to have happen at all. So kind of took out the scientific knowledge a little bit and focused more on community. So I added a couple little mushrooms sort of trailing around the edges there to keep the visual flow of the piece going from the front through the sides and back into the far panel, which will be a lot less visible, but there's a house right on the other side of that. So I do want to make it pretty for everyone. And I kind of wanted to play around with depth a little bit because we see that pine forest in the background, and by adding in those side panel trees, I wanted to make it feel like you've just sort of parted the forest a little bit to kind of come across the secret little Flagstaff mushroom scene. So some of the mushrooms that I added to are a couple sitting up on the hill on the right, sort of looking out at the sunrise or sunset, and then one walking at the base of the hill on the right, and then one sort of just skateboarding into the scene to sort of keep your eye visually moving across that again. And then on the left, we've got another little toadstool sort of making its way towards the center. I also played around with backside a little bit more. So again, adding sort of the opposite view of the peaks and having the forest really sort of flow towards that focal point of the sun in the background. And again, the side panels do have those pine trees, so they'll lead nicely into the pine tree scene on the back. And then here's just some facts about the project cost itself, having to do with film tech. And that's it. I can answer any questions if anyone has them on the redo of the design.
Thank you. Questions, comments, folks?
Really like it. Thank you.
Did you have fun redoing the side panels?
I did,
Yeah.
yeah. I kind of added in some colors that I felt like were sort of receding into the background on the main image. So I think that color palette wise, it makes sense to have that in the foreground now too.
I felt the same thing and it felt really, it added like some context and some depth to it
Right.
that really popped for me. And I'm happy with the changes. I don't think that there was much of a problem aesthetically with what you had going on there, but this adds so much more. I appreciate that. And I'm so happy that you were able to like, redevelop your
Yeah,
project.
thank you. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be learned through working through something multiple times. So yeah, I had a great time with it.
Claire, did you have a question or comment? You came off or you started your camera?
Yes. No, I just wanted to also say thank you so much for spending the time to do the update and just to once again say how delightful I find your artwork, and I'm really excited to see it come to life. So
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you all for this opportunity too. I'm kind of new to town, so feeling a little more involved has been really special.
If there are no questions or comments, folks, I'll entertain a motion to approve or deny the art as presented.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second
that. Thank you.
I'll third it.
Gotta be quick on it. It's been moved and seconded.
Second there.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the revised art rep design as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? The motion carries and the artwork is approved. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate
you.
you.
And I'll walk you out and show you where to go.
Okay,
Our
perfect.
accessibility.
Thanks again. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Moving forward to Art X experiences.
I'm just gonna lead up here. Krista's ears are gonna burn a little bit because as she walks downstairs, but Art X started off with the opening of the multicultural exhibition at Blizzard Cliff Park. And it was really a phenomenal morning. And I think everyone who attended, including the mayor, was actually the weather herself, the artists, we had 4 of the 5 artists, one, I think, Gideon had to fly to Africa, so we had to excuse him. But it was really phenomenal. It was Julie Sokol and Julie Komnek of Creative Flagstaff were instrumental in highlighting this for us and including it in Art X. It was one of 3 things that we directly participated in. The other one was the tour of the Coconino Scroll. City manager actually showed up. I was like, I've invited him, but he came to that and he brought a former director of the airport, Mr. Larkin, who I'd never met. And that was really sweet. And, but the artists flew in, and the artist team flew in from Oregon, and they were there as well. It was really special. And then we also had, we grabbed a speaker who from Art X and had a presentation to upper management on some of the other possibilities from a different city of public art. And that was not open to everybody. It was a limited invitation, but it was a direct result of the Art X conference. So I went to a lot of things, but I'm going to just, limit myself to those things that, I participated in as the program manager, and that were our events. But who else got out there and saw things? I mean, I want to hear, about some of the plays and, ferret operas and other things that went on.
I got to attend both the Coconino School and the multicultural exhibition. You guys did an amazing job. So that was fantastic. It was great. I got to spend some time with Mr. Larkin and he was pretty touched by the whole thing, which was fun. I also had the opportunity to go to the Moon Piano up in Buffalo Park. It was phenomenal. It was the best thing I did the whole week. And it just, there had to have been 300 to 400 people there. Everybody brought their chairs up, blankets, hot cocoa, tons of families. It was beautiful. It was just a fantastic event, and I kind of feel like it should be a monthly event or a weekly event. Whatever instrument that is large and unwieldy that they can get through those gates should go there, and it should be something unusual and fun. And Buffalo Park is such an incredible space, and I think maybe it's a little underutilized for the arts, which is something to think about. And then, but it was great. My son loved it. My friends that I kind of egged into going loved it, and they weren't planning on it, and it was just fantastic. And then we also went to the taiko drumming workshop. I took my son, and those people were the sweetest, friendliest people. And they had all the parents and all the kids drumming together, and it was fantastic. And the next day, we went to their show in front of, because they did the workshop up at Buffalo Park. And the next day, they did the show at the courthouse. And there were a lot of kids in attendance that had been there the day before because they had so much fun. And they invited all those kids back up, and the kids got to participate in the performance. They were very pleased. Giant drums, huge drumsticks. It's basically an 8-year-old boy paradise. So everybody had a great time, and they were just super friendly and really sweet. So, and you could tell that it was a pretty low key organization, and they did a great job with what they had. So, and we saw some art exhibits as well, but those were our highlights.
I went to the Coconino Scroll and the sculpture opening. And I also attended the opening for the mural on the back of Knackered Pepsi. And that event, the opening event, the talk at Murdoch was really, really well attended. I was surprised. It was like easily 75 or 80 people there. They kept adding chairs and adding chairs and adding chairs. I've never seen so many people at Murdoch Center before. It was really well attended. And of course, the mural is lovely. It's just a beautiful piece highlighting the history and local families. So I was really moved by that. In fact, I was thinking, oh, this will be quick. And, you know, should I wear shorts or should I wear pants? So I was doing this whole thing in my head. And I thought, well, I'll wear pants. And then it was like, wow, I'm really glad I wore pants because there's a lot of people here. It was really very well attended and very nice. There was music beforehand. There were some very short talks, and then, you know, different groups walked over to the mural and saw it. It was nice.
You said you were there as well, right?
No,
No.
I was out of town. I was in Phoenix.
Oh, that's right.
But yes, she did send her, Candace, the community organizer for that project, just sent her final report in. And they had 80 people in attendance.
Was it 80?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. It was really nice.
And that's kind of going viral on social media, that particular project, and rightfully so.
And I know that we had a lot of questions when that project came in about the fundraising. Would they be able to do it?
Yeah.
But, you know, you provide that seed money and let them, you know, really get started. They were very successful fundraisers, and you can see, you know, what an incredible project, you know, it started with a BIA grant.
People were talking about whether they're trying to figure out, is that a photograph or is it a painting? You know, there was a lot of conversations in the groups at 2s and 3s trying to figure out the mural itself and how things are represented on the wall. Because some of it does look like some giant sort of film that was plastered onto the wall, and some of it looks like paint. And it's a neat piece, and event was lovely.
I didn't recuse myself from this discussion because after 5 years of chairing the steering committee for ARDEX, my term officially ended with the launch of the first year. And I let Creative Flagstaff know that about 6 months ago. They reminded them that once this finally got off the ground, I would move to other projects. But after 5 years of working on this, in the pilot last year, we had 20 participating organizations. This time around, venues and organizations, we had 183, which is mostly really, really good. The community can be very proud of. I certainly am as someone who kicked this thing in the shorts to get it started. I will end with a criticism though, in that as wonderful as all those participants were, we skewed in favor of quantity instead of quality. And not every arts presentation that took place during ARDEX was great. And we needed to do a better job of curating the quality of what we did. So high praise for what Creative Flagstaff did. I'm very proud of it. But we still have things to do to make it better next year.
So, the first meeting that I got in was, we called it the Arts and Ideas Festival, and that was in 2011, I believe. Jonathan Tanous got us all in the room together. We started kind of visioning what the future could look like for this. Like, as well as you guys know, some things take a little bit more time. So as the ideas came, some of the funding mechanisms and some of the leadership changes kind of put the idea kind of to rest for a moment. Thankfully, Jonathan Stone reinvigorated that idea and brought it back up. And I was able, the city sent me and him and another community member to Grand Rapids, Michigan to see kind of what we could take from a similar festival from there. And I remember coming back from that, having a bunch of meetings with folks, including Chris was listening to us at the time, and having to be very critical of what was happening there and how different we are from them. And thankfully, folks like Chris were able to take that information and mold it in such a way to where I was completely thrilled with what I saw the second year in as a real Flagstaff project. We took all the good things that we could use from other places, but we really made this one, we really brought this one home. I hear what Chris is saying about the quantity over quality. But what I was happy with, even though maybe the performances weren't all they could be or whatever, was that there were folks out there that were doing something that hopefully could build into more as we go on. The Flagstaff Boundary did the best they could with so many different performances all through town, and I thought that was really fun and invigorating for the amount of folks that didn't know that RX was happening, which was probably my biggest criticism. Was, I mean, I was walking through the streets, telling everybody I came in contact with, and they were just like, "What's happening?" So, once the word got out, and it kind of grew over time. By the second weekend, I think it was really popping off in town. I had to miss that weekend, but I'm really happy with it. My favorite piece, I would have to say, would be Read the Room. I liked the whole Meow Wolf kind of experience that was in there, and the viscerality that you could really take it in. Each person that I was hanging out with got a different piece out of that art collection.
I saw you there.
Yes. Yes. And the tintypes were fun too, to kind of bring us into a picture of what we once were, how we used to take pictures. Part of that now is fun. The amount of walking tours that they had, I thought was appropriate. I went on 3 of them myself, and I was able to go on one particular one. I can't remember the artist's name, but where he took pictures of portions of Flagstaff nowadays and compared them to pictures from the past. Then we had these crazy discussions about how did you get to that picture back in the 1800s when you could tell it was in a certain location. And we had a lot of geography lessons and things of that nature. But overall, I've always said that we, if we don't, start having some good numbers coming in to do this project over time, it might not be viable. And I don't think we're going to have a problem with that moving forward. I think that our second year, like Chris said, there was so much there that we could kind of see the future as being paved nicely for a more robust festival that will be a destination for folks at some point in time. I can't wait for the next years. I can't wait. I'm excited.
Was the tintype maker a local person in Flagstaff?
Yeah. Yeah.
Other comments, folks? Claire's? Dave?
If it's okay from back here.
Sure.
I actually took my parents to the Space Cowboy, which was super fun little family activity. And I gotta say, we ended up talking about it a lot afterwards because, you know, my parents actually were a part of the historical event and their memories. And then knowing how much had happened here and actually having the engagement of some of the scientists that are still in the area, but we don't really realize they're still in the area, was really fascinating and very fun. I'll say I've actually brought multiple city staff also by the piece over in the alleys off where the Murdoch Center was. I missed the 80-person thing. I was probably wearing pants at the time, and I didn't get to go. But I continually, anytime I'm out, we did a tour of fixtures in the South Side today, because you know there are things you got to look at sometimes, and made sure that we toured through the alley because those pieces are so great. Some of the small ones that I think didn't get a ton of attention, but were really sort of fun. You know, the courthouse walk. I found myself with a few minutes between meetings, and I found myself into the maze and walked the labyrinth, and I thought that was really neat just to have pieces like that. The yarn bombing over by council member suites. You know, I think even some of the pieces that may not be as artistic in quality, it was a fun sort of vibe that was created in having so much in so many places. I get that, you know, we can still lift, but I thought it was really, really great to see some of these pieces. And I'll throw one other piece out that I was very pleasantly surprised by how much of the community seemed to want to participate. I mean, there were exits everywhere, so the people who didn't know what was going on, I could feel for, because I don't know how they did that. But there were, but it was really cool. People I didn't know were artists in my social group or who I'm acquaintances with were involved in projects or were helping get projects going, and it was in terms of inspiring creativity within the community. I thought the festival did a fantastic job, and it was great to experience some of those pieces. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Claire Edelman Heath, do you have something to say?
I do. I thought, well, so I attended the multicultural art opening, and that was just really wonderful. The whole aspect of it, the morning that was organized, as well as just the artworks themselves. It was just really fun and just exciting to see that. So I was really excited. And then the ArtX, I made it to some of the kind of pieces that were open and out. So that made it really fun. I agree with that having pieces around that you can just experience downtown and are easy at any point in the day just made it very accessible. And I have to say that this year, just, you know, I'm growing a community here. I'm new to town, but the amount of people I know that went to different events, just anecdotally, there was just a lot of enthusiasm about it. And I thought that the advertising was really successful, like the decal on the sidewalk corners and things like that. And the app was really excellent and easy to navigate. So I felt like all of those just made it, yeah, just generally accessible for a lot of people. And I felt it in the community, which I think is a great achievement for the second year.
I would agree that the app was really useful. I would say though that the advertising, it was really excellent downtown. But there was not really a lot of presence outside of the immediate vicinity of where ArtX was taking place. And so like promotion on the east side was lacking. I don't really know like if it was being promoted in Continental or if it was being promoted in University Heights, but there may be a way to expand. I mean, there are some banner areas and some places to hang things for ArtX. that I think might help to expand.
I feel like I heard, maybe my impression was because I listen to the radio. I know that's probably rare now, but I could not, and also I'm paying attention to this stuff, but I heard RX on KNAU on 100.1. It seemed like every time I was flipping the dial, but you're right, physically, maybe
Yeah, I will admit, I have not actually tuned into a radio in several
I know, I'm
years.
so old.
So.
Julie Stokel did a good interview on KNAU. Did you catch
I
that?
did, she was
Yeah.
fantastic. She
Yeah.
did well.
Yeah.
But to your point about the banners, I don't remember if I saw banners up on the posts. Did anybody see banners?
There was that huge banner that was on,
But it was
In
down.
here
Van Lanningham Field.
Yeah.
But, and the X's, they were everywhere. But the people that I was talking to, because I just spent my entire day getting in people's faces and be like, you gotta tell them this is the staff, man. And everybody was like, what are you talking about? So the X's were there, but when I would point it out to people and be like, well, that's RNX, that's one of the things, they'd be like, oh, but they had no idea how to identify it. So I even asked one group of people that were eating lunch, I was like, well, what did you think the X's were? And they thought, oh, it was just a creative part of your town. So, yeah.
But like there's that banner stand at West and Lockett that does community events and it did not have an RX banner on it. So, but pretty much everyone on the east side goes by there because of Safeway. Good to know.
Anything else?
Moving forward to the party. Recognition. We love that.
Hey, on a party bag. Now.
Years have you been on this?
I came in 2017, the first month of 2017, so 7 years, 6 months, something like that,
So this is
7, 8 years.
Commissioner Garcia, former Chair Garcia.
Thank you, guys.
And, you know,
Thank you.
George thinks it's still Christmas, but you know, George.
That's what it is.
I almost don't want to guess this out loud.
Right.
If it's coming from George,
It's not a ball.
because me and him have a special relationship.
Yeah.
My. Thank you very much. This is wonderful. This is one half of it. Lots of tea will be sipped through this couple of glasses. I will be thinking of you guys
Oh, wow.
here forward. Thank you guys.
And
You wanna pass the
everybody
cookie
gets,
now?
yeah. Everybody gets a big cookie. And now we get to share, you know, remember under Commissioner Cruz's service. To feedback. You know, it was Chair Garcia when I started, for 40 years ago. And we had one whole meeting and it wasn't council chambers before the pandemic shut down.
I remember that meeting.
I remember it very vividly too, and Mr. Garcia, you made me so welcome. You know, I thank you for that. It was very interesting. George is a very interesting, council person and
Move back here for just a second.
and things, and, you know, but, I learned so much from you, about Flagstaff, about the commission. I know in those early days, once the things opened up a little bit, we got to meet at White Dog a couple of times and go over things. And I learned, you know, of course, just about the east side of Brookfield. And I really appreciate all of that you gave me so that I could do a better job, you know, as first project administrator and then program. So thank you. And with that, I'm gonna get a cookie.
You know, guys, it's time for the party.
Anthony, you are our elder statesman and you will be missed.
Thank you.
Just feels like me.
I can say, Anthony, appreciated the comments you made about the BPAC at the council meeting last week. I don't know if people knew, but Anthony stood up and made some really great comments. And I do recall, as we were working into some of our reorganization and kind of as staff was shifting, many moons ago, having some coffees with you and talking about, what was it that, that some of the commissioners might feel was the right direction to try to shift now that we had some opportunities. And yeah, I really feel like things got going in a great direction, and you certainly have been a part of that process. Appreciate those opportunities to chat and all the great work you've done. Cool.
Sure, yeah, you were very welcoming when I joined the committee. And it's been really fun. You're always willing to challenge people's ideas and also to support what's right. And, you've always been a voice for things that are uncomfortable on the commission, which is great. So I really appreciate that. Yeah.
I appreciate you, Anthony, and I'm gonna bring Art X since I didn't really say my experience. This year with Art X, I found it was very unexpected. And what I find with Anthony is that he always says something or offers a viewpoint that is unexpected. I really do appreciate that. Thanks for just all your viewpoints and really pushing us to think outside the box. Yeah. Good job.
And you're good at forcing people to participate, which was always the thing that I appreciated about your chairmanship of the commission. Is that you didn't let commissioners sit silently. And I always thought that was great.
Gentle browbeating is my thing.
Yeah. But it made for, I think, strong conversations at a time when the commission was really growing and helped us to do some of these projects that are newer and bigger. And without those more robust conversations, I think it would have been led by just a couple people and got better at being that way. So thank you.
Appropriate for the time.
So,
You'll definitely be missed. Thank you for everything. I appreciate you showing up to things and leading by example in terms of events and meetings and just showing up. I think that's really important. So I appreciate you for that, being able to model that behavior and go to what seems like everything as I finish. But yeah, I got that from you for sure.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like we all are here, but if there's an event in town and if I'm there, I see you there. And if I'm not there, I see a photo of you there. And like, I really admire your commitment to the community and your willingness to put in the work.
yes.
Sure, appreciate that.
It's been lovely getting to know you, and I liked getting to know you when we went to Tucson.
That was
That
fun.
was great, and Shemer. And then, yes, you're always our non-designated, but designated photographer at certain events. So I like that you always get people together and pose right down in the front. And thank you for providing all the information and, filling in the gaps. And I ask, what are you gonna do every second Monday of the month from 4 until 6 o'clock?
I'm gonna prepare for every second Tuesday. Everything. I'm for every Tuesday. But on your point, that's the reason why you want to be the person that gets everybody up and around to get a picture taking. Because if not, they won't pick the right spot, and then you can't pose right in the front of them. Greg?
Any final words, Commissioner? I mean, as a APAC commission.
I'm a bishop man.
Uh-huh.
I've loved watching you grow, out here when you started and seeing who you are and how you conduct yourself now. I've only been 7 years, but you have matured. Just watching you grow during the pandemic when you were the chair that was really fun. We've actually had conversations about that, Anthony, and during the pandemic. And personally, what I love is you do bring everybody in, but you are the voice of the non-white people. I was going to put it like that because that's a perspective that you have brought to this committee that I have seen. And that's appreciative.
hopefully we won't miss each other because now we'll be forced to at least hang out once a year, to go on a hike or something,
Sure.
just to meet up again.
And the support you gave me during cancer, that was good.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I guess the only things that I have to say is this is like the most successful relationship I think that I've had outside of my kids in my lifetime. It's been this long. And watching the process grow from what it was to what it is now, I think that I just want to make sure that, you know, it's my day, but I just want to make sure everybody remembers that like staff throughout the process, throughout my whole time here, has been open-minded, malleable, and contentious at times enough to where we could make something better through our work together. And well, there's two sides, there's staff and there's a community. I want to see the robust conversations of the community coming out through each of the commissioners moving forward, like they have been up until now. And I want that same, if you guys could let any of the new commissioners know that would be my wish, is just to let them know and help them understand that they do represent a portion of that community, and that part of their job is to take it outside this room and to connect with that community. Heidi Hansen, mainly David McIntyre. This is somebody who I looked up to throughout this process on what to do next. I don't know how many, I don't know how to say this, but like, what do you call that? Esoteric. How many esoteric conversations we've had from across the room with just glances at each other and everything that he's taught me through that. And yeah, I'm gonna miss Craig, seeing him every couple of weeks because we spent the better part of 7 years, in the same room together. I want to tell the new commission that you guys have done a fantastic job. And when I left the chair position and Mike came on, there was a whole different brand of things that were moving in the ethos, just period. It was right after the pandemic and knew that a different change had to occur. And it couldn't have been handed to a better person as far as like keeping up with the times and adding newness to this equation. Jana, you brought us kind of out of the dark and into the light throughout your time here. The little things that you add on a statewide perspective is, I think, we always see things so focused on Flagstaff, but you kind of help us connect with other parts of the state that could make things more uniform statewide, and I appreciate that. Plus, just your general knowledge of the process. And Kristen, it's been a pleasure working with you as well. And Miranda, big hug from across the room. And all the rest of the commissioners, thank you very much for celebrating me today. And I think you guys will be impressed with your new commissioner that's going to be coming on. And I'm excited to see because I know I could sometimes bring an air of gloom to the room just by my presence, especially if I don't like something. So I'm hoping that you guys will have like some little like fun times for a minute before you guys get serious and start honing in my energy again. Thank you, guys.
These are public meetings, Anthony.
I'm definitely leaving. I'm gonna camp out over there.
So moving forward, we get to request for future agenda items. Are there any things that folks want to have on a future agenda?
Mike, I was wondering, when you talked about that roundabout, I know we've already discussed it in the past, but do you think that might be a good thing to talk about next year sometime? Maybe that roundabout you were talking about.
Sure, if there's support for it.
Yeah. Well,
We need two commissioners to support it. It is a small roundabout and it is level with the street.
yeah.
But I was on it this weekend and I thought, oh, we've never talked about this. So I could certainly see how if it was talked about in the past, but based on the size and the scale and the existing infrastructure, conversations went nowhere. But I'm happy to talk about it if there's support to put it on a future agenda. Otherwise, I'm fine with not.
Does it make sense to just have it added as a potential project in per Janice earlier? I think, it would need to be vetted. So we could, if there's support from two other commissioners, we could, take, August or September for me to Delta and find out what there is to know about that roundabout. And then we can decide at retreat whether it's something we want to add on or not. I really like it, but my concern is, and I really want to be focused on what we have going on the east side. And for those projects happen and advocate for those projects. I'm a little concerned that if we add more small east side projects, we may lose focus and the opportunity, like if I was gonna choose where the staff spent their time,
Right.
I'd like to see it on the wedge, the roundabout, beautification along Lockett. You know, a Sunnyside plan, because a plan I think is really what we need, and that roundabout could be encompassed also in a Sunnyside plan. I mean, that's one thing, because even that, like the term Sunnyside plan, I'm like, that should be an east side plan. Yeah, you know, lots of neighborhoods on the east side. And so, you know, and I think those are all conversations we can have. So I wonder if honing in on a single roundabout makes sense before we get that larger conversation going.
Yeah, I was just
Because I
thinking,
do very much support it, actually, but
I was just thinking, we have more roundabouts than the ones that right? I mean, we're talking about Butler, we've got Fourth. We've got this one, we've got, and then to Chris's point, a year or two ago, in terms of like unifying, you know, I was just thinking we have more roundabouts than we sort of appreciate. And this specific location with that empty lot that just went up for sale with overgrown,
Yes.
like, that could really use some beautification. So, so it absolutely doesn't have to be a discussion item and something that we add to the plan, but that intersection, that part of town, that area, and then again, the fact that we've got 4 or 5 roundabouts sort of coming up, right? We really have only spent time and energy talking about 2. If we get the one at Butler, and then we talk about this one. So that's why I brought it up, but
it's a fantastic idea. You know, and I see the city, particularly the staff here, gaining that knowledge of roundabout rules, you know, and becoming experts in roundabout art, rules, regulations, requirements, and implementation. And so they'll become, it's just like our traffic boxes, like those just are, I can see roundabouts doing the same thing.
And there's these lit up things that I guess like delineation points, so you can see that there's a roundabout thing. They're often up. They're not always
No,
up.
they're not always up.
And that's another thing that you want to consider about that neighborhood.
But that may be something that art in the roundabout could help solve,
It could,
you know.
it could.
so we can move forward and talk about the time and date for the next meeting. It's July 8th, and it will be hybrid as they are. And I'll adjourn the meeting at 5:43 PM. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I'll be here on the 8th to help. Even though Jen will be leading it distantly, I'll make sure I'm here to help with any sort of person.
Yeah.
July 8th. I will not be present either. I'll be in Scotland.
I would like to, because we will need a quorum. I will have an approval item, which is the Murdoch